Well, top of the hour, let's tell you about another shooting incident in the United States, and this time gunshots, we are learning, were fired near the White House, not inside but outside the key area. It all happened when the shooter arrived at the security checkpoint near the White House and opened fire at the officers there. What followed was a massive security scare in one of the most heavily protected areas in the world. Secret Service, we are learning, responded to the threat and shot him dead during the exchange of fire right there. A bystander was also injured in this chaos and was taken to the hospital. But most importantly, we are learning that US President Donald Trump was inside the White House at the time of the incident, but he was not impacted. The shooting happened while the journalists were working inside the White House complex. Reporters present at the scene said they suddenly heard nearly 15 to 30 gunshots and were immediately asked to take shelter inside the press briefing room. And soon after, we're learning that the security across the White House area that has been tightened, and multiple law enforcement agencies, they arrived at the spot. The FBI and the Secret Service are now investigating how exactly in fact suspect managed to approach the checkpoint and what was the motive behind the entire shooting. Let me go across to our consulting editor Srinjoy Chaudhary on this. Srinjoy, investigators are trying to find out what was the reason behind this, what was the target, whether the suspect acted alone, if there was any larger threat linked to the shooting as well. And now we have the picture of the shooter also there on the screen as well. Take us through what really happened near the White House.
As you rightly said, the shooting happened outside the White House, not within the White House compound, but outside, roughly a block away. 17th Street means since the White House is on 1600 Penn Avenue, 17th Street is roughly a block away. Still, it was close to the White House, right. And there was one person, one man with a gun who fired, was intercepted by the Secret Service, who have shot him. What we've heard from the White House is the man has been shot dead. A bystander was injured, and he's in hospital. At this point, there was no shooting inside the White House. The president is safe. Everyone in the White House is safe. That's really the bottom line. The president is safe. And as we know, there have been some attempts on the president in these last 2 or 3 years. One was last month at a hotel quite close to the White House, in fact, at the Hilton. There have been 2 before that. One was a near miss when a bullet hit his ear in Butler, Pennsylvania, a small town in Pennsylvania of about 6,000–7,000 people. The other was also an attempted attack in Florida at a golf course, but this one was a distance away. The man fired. We don't know his motives. We don't know what kind of person he was, what his record is, where he purchased his gun. But the authorities are on it, and you would expect all the information, what kind of person he is, what his political views are, where he purchased his gun, where he is from. All of that will be available very shortly.
Absolutely. And as you rightly pointed out, the bottom line is that Donald Trump was present inside the White House when the incident took place, and he's currently safe. I'm also joined by David K. Johnston, senior journalist. But I'll come back to you, sir. Once again, we have another breaking update coming in as far as the White House shooting scare is concerned. We are learning that the moments of shooting that has now been caught on camera. We will be showing you those visuals. And in fact, the moment panic unfolded near the White House, ABC reporter Selena Wang was standing inside the media area, inside the White House, as you can see on the screen, recording a routine social media update for her viewers when the shooting happened. Listen into what really happened there.
The deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart. Deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart. deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart. Deal is close.
Well, this right here is the moment when the incident happened. As you just heard, that is Selena Wang from ABC News. In fact, in the video, Wang can be initially, she was seen very calmly speaking on camera about US President Donald Trump and his comments on the possible Iran deal as well. But within seconds, the atmosphere completely changes. What appears to be a rapid gunfire suddenly erupts in the background. Multiple shots, as you heard, can be heard ringing out one after another at the White House perimeter. Now, the sound of the firing immediately catches Wang off guard. Her expression completely changed, and as she realizes something serious is unfolding nearby, she ducks down, is what we are learning so far. And just like her, many other reporters, they were present at the spot, because just a while back, Donald Trump has had posted on social media about, in fact, a possible deal with Iran, and there would be, in fact, an announcement soon. And on that, several of the reporters were present in the perimeter, and they were recording their social media videos. They were reporting live as well when this incident happened. And in the video, in fact, Wang from ABC News can be initially seen very calmly speaking on camera about the entire deal and what Donald Trump has said. But within seconds, the atmosphere completely changes. What appears to be a rapid gunfire suddenly erupts in the background. In fact, multiple shots were heard as she was, in fact, recording this piece to the camera. She ducks down, is what we are learning so far. Let me also, in fact, go across to David K. Johnston, a senior journalist coming to us live from New York. Thanks so much, for connecting with us. How concerning is that America continues to witness repeated shooting incidents, evenly in the highly secured areas near the critical government buildings as well? Your take on what really happened there near the White House?
Well, the shooting, as your correspondent pointed out, apparently took place at 17th Street, which is one building over. It's where the old executive office building is from the White House. I don't think it's particularly surprising that we're seeing more incidents like this. For 10 years, Donald Trump has campaigned and talked in terms of acts of violence. So you may recall that he pointed out people sometimes in his rally audiences and urged other people to beat them up, and claimed that he would pay their legal bills or if they were to assault these people Trump pointed to. And that's engendered an awful lot of hatred of Donald Trump in this country. I'm not justifying or excusing that kind of conduct. We also don't know that Donald Trump was the target here. The location suggests that's highly likely, but we don't literally know that. And one other thing to point out, there is no evidence that Donald Trump was struck by a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania 2 years ago. The shooter clearly wanted to kill Trump. He killed one man and injured another. But there is no scar on Donald Trump's ear, and he had his medical records sealed. The only time in any shooting of an American president or presidential candidate since 1865 that we don't have the medical records.
Absolutely. In fact, this is something that we've seen in the last 1.5 years, several such incidents coming to the fore. In fact, coming back to you, Srinjoy, on this, what are you learning so far as the investigation is concerned? What was the motive, whether Donald Trump was on a radar this time around as well?
That investigation is still going on. It's still too early to come up with all the facts, but there are certain things one needs to know. We know what the man was looked like. We have his photograph, but what we need to know is the motive. Was he really after the president? Number one. Number two, what are his records? Does he have any kind of police record? Where did he buy his gun from? Was it something that was a genuine purchase, or was it an illegal weapon? Then people will probably look at his internet records, his documents, and all of that to know what his political views are. All of that will be looked at over the next few hours. But it's very important to note that this is about the third or fourth time that there are reports of the president being targeted. One happened just a few weeks ago in Washington at the Hilton, which incidentally is not very far away from the White House. Also, there have been incidents in Butler, Pennsylvania. Butler is a little town in Pennsylvania. Maybe 6,000 to 7,000 people live there. So there was one there, and at least that's what the and also there was an attempt in Florida. So there have been quite a few in recent times, but at this point we are not absolutely sure what the motive of this person, this gunman, was. Yes, the president was in the White House. The president is safe. Everyone in the White House is safe. The attack, the incident was a block and a little bit away from the White House. 17th Street is a distance away, but nevertheless relatively close to the White House. But at this point, the police, the authorities are definitely looking at all the records, all the details to find out who this man was actually, what he really stood for, what were his motives. All of that is probably being looked at. What we also know is that a bystander was hit during the firing, and he's in hospital. Let's hope he gets well very soon, because it's very, very unfortunate that a bystander got hit, and let's hope that he recovers fully and as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Was this a lone wolf attack? What was the motive? Was Donald Trump on radar? That is something that will come out during the investigation. Stay on with us. In fact, Shinjo, I'll come back to you once again. We have another breaking update coming in. Details on the shooter, the photo that we've been showing you, who believed that he was God. He opened fire on the White House choke point, the checkpoint there, and he has been shot dead by the Secret Service. The gunman opened fire outside the White House on Saturday evening, getting off about 3 shots before he was taken down by a barrage from the Secret Service, is what we're learning so far. His name is Nasir Best. He's 21-year-old, the man that you can see on the screen, the shooter who has now been killed. He fired at the checkpoint at around 6:10 p.m. in the evening after being seen pacing in the strange manner up and down the 17th Street Northwest, and he used a revolver and then got off a few shots before he was quickly shot and killed in a hail of bullets from the federal officer. Let me take you through the statement that is coming from the Secret Service. They have mentioned that shortly after 6 p.m. Saturday, an individual in the area on the 17th Street, that is near the White House and the Pennsylvania Avenue, pulled a weapon from the bag and started firing. Secret Service police returned fire, striking the suspect, who was transported to an area hospital where he was pronounced deceased. During the shooting, one bystander was also struck by gunfire. No injuries were sustained by the officer. The president was in the White House during the incident. However, no protectees or operations were impacted. This incident remains under investigation, and additional information will be released as it becomes available. So several of the key points here, that as we told you, president was present inside the White House when this incident took place, and also going on to say that in fact he pulled out a weapon from his bag and started firing, is what we are learning so far. Let me go back to in fact our guest, Mr. David. You mentioned that you know this area quite well. How crowded and active is this zone, usually with the media, tourists and the officials moving around? Because this incident happened at around 6:10 in the evening, and this man that we can see on the screen, he was pacing up and down the road. Then he pulled out the gun and started firing, because of which we're learning one bystander was also injured. You know this area quite well. Tell us more about how crowded and active this zone really is.
Well, it's 6 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday. You wouldn't see many people on the sidewalk. And Washington, D.C. is one of the few places in America where you are not allowed to openly carry a weapon. Many places in America, pushed very hard by conservatives in this country, are laws that allow you to walk into the grocery store or a school carrying an assault rifle. And of course, you have no way of knowing if someone has foul intentions who's armed with a weapon like that. So anyone who was walking back and forth in the area within 2 or 3 blocks of the White House would have been spotted on surveillance cameras. There are officers in uniform and undercover constantly on patrol. There is no possibility that this man could have gotten anywhere near the president. And the windows that are in the White House, those are designed and built to stop high-velocity bullets. Remember, the impact of a bullet is mass times velocity cubed, I think. It's velocity squared. So high-speed bullets from things like assault rifles are not going to penetrate the windows at the White House.
All right.
So this was a foolish effort. This man threw his life away over if his intention was to kill Donald Trump.
All right. Thanks so much, Mr. David and Shinjo, for getting us all those details and putting this story into perspective. Now, moving on into